Hello, everyone. I'm Janice with Senior Life Insurance Company. I'm one of the hiring and trading managers here out of Pennsylvania, and today we're going to show you how to write an application. So let's get into sharing my screen. And there's two ways to write the application or get into the application. First things is on your actual agent portal. So you can come over here, and this is where you actually download the Slice app as well. So you see over here, Slice app download and Leads the Way download. These are two apps that you can use. First is the Slice app to actually write the application, and this is where you can get your leads as well. So this is where you download the Slice app onto your iPad or iPhone. Those are the two ways this Slice app application works. Or if you don't have iPad or iProducts, you can go into the telesales website. And so you can come over here to Slice app telesales. You can click on this, or the actual direct website is telesales.srlife.net. So it just pulls up the application here. So you don't have to go into the agent portal if you don't want to. You can actually just go direct to the site, which is telesales.srlife.net, and click on the application, and this is how you start it. So we're just going to write a Jane Doe application here. And that way you can see how easy the application process is. First and last name, date of birth, that date of birth is fine, male or female. If the policy is for the client itself, which it usually is, so you write self, what city you are writing the policy in, and what state. And if it's English or Spanish, whatever language. Hit next. The adult insured must answer health questions signed regardless of the plan type relationship to the owner. So this is just saying, yes, the person is writing all the health questions for themselves. Hit OK, hit next. Now here are the health questions that pop up to write the application and see if the client gets approved. So are you currently hospitalized or in a nursing home facility? So if you're in the client's home doing field sales, obviously this is going to be no, because they're not in a hospital or nursing home. But if you're doing telesales, then absolutely verify this. Have you been hospitalized 2 or more times in the past 10 years? And again, we're asking this question for major reasons, like have you had a heart attack or a stroke, or any major reasons why you're in the hospital. If they just had a knee replacement or something minor like that, 2 or more nights in the hospital is not that big of a deal because it wasn't for anything major. Now, have you been diagnosed with cancer or a stroke? If the client tells me, oh yeah, actually I had cancer or I had a stroke about 10 years ago, but I'm fine now, that's great. I don't need to document that. We only go back 5 years for medical history. So same thing with cancer. A while ago, it doesn't matter. 5 years ago, I also ask a follow-up question. Are you still taking any cancer medications within the last 5 years? And if they're not, then you don't really need to document it because it's all based on their health medications that they're currently taking. So hit no. Use nicotine or tobacco. And this is one pretty self-explanatory, but if they tell you, oh yeah, I quit like a year ago, okay, it's going to be documented on their medical history. So I'm going to say no, even if, because the next follow-up question, in the past 10 years, have you used any form? I'm still going to say no, because yeah, they just quit a year ago, but when you do their medical background check and they're going to the doctor's going to show they no longer use tobacco. So I'm not going to affect their application and writing yes to this question, because then they're going to get bumped down all the way to standard when they might get approved for super preferred or preferred based on their medications they take. They might be actually a pretty healthy person and they're no longer taking nicotine anymore. So don't affect the client by saying no in the past 10 years. Just saying yes in the past 10 years, say no, because everything is based on their medications, really. So these are just questions to see what they get approved for. Height and weight, put in that. Now here's where you put in the medications. So the most common medications are like high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. So let's put metformin in. Metformin is a diabetes medication, and it'll pop up what it's for. And let's say they give you a medication and it doesn't get popped up here. The good way to find it is under not listed, and then you could actually look up what that medication is for. So you ask them, well, what do you take that medication for? Oh, I take it for high blood pressure. Okay, so you can scroll down here to high blood pressure, and it will give up a whole list of high blood pressure medications. And then you just run down the list with them. Does any of these look familiar? Or if you're on the phone, read any of these out loud. Oh yeah, the atenolol, that's what it was. Okay, click on that and it'll pop up on their list. So put in all the medications that they take. And I also asked them, in the past 5 years, have any of these medications changed or been added or taken off your medical history? Because we do go back 5 years, and let's say they're not taking the medications anymore, but when we do the 5-year medical background check, we're going to find the medications that they may not be taking anymore, but it may still be on their medical history. So I always still ask them a follow-up question: has any of these medications changed or been added or taken off your medical history? Just because I might as well add it right now, but if I'm going to find it later, and that way I don't got to try it and readjust their what they get approved for. So hit next, and this is what the kind of policies that we help our clients with. This is what pops up. So super preferred, preferred, standard, modified, and guaranteed issue is what we normally write. So the 20-year term, I don't really ever write that because a lot of our clients are 65 and older and term doesn't do them any good. So I don't write that. And then easy issue is basically guaranteed, but off by a couple of dollars for the client. And for me, it's going to lower my my commission by quite a bit. So I'm also just going to write guaranteed issue because it does the same thing. It qualifies them for a 3-year plan. And then the price difference is like $1 or $2. So it doesn't affect the client in any way, but it affects me and my commission. So these are the policies that we write: super preferred, preferred, standard, modified, and guaranteed. All the rest in between, like even if the client was approved for ultimate preferred, that's the one right above super. We never write that one as well because that is a very, very low commission, and it's literally off by a couple of dollars as well from super. So that's basically if you want to write like a family member, you don't worry about getting commission on, just because you want to give a very, very best rate possible. But it's going to be off by a couple of dollars. It's not going to affect them in any way. So just write super preferred, preferred, standard, modified, and guaranteed issue. Okay, so the way I present these to the clients is I let them know that they all have different rates. So whatever the top one is that pops up, that's what I write. So if super preferred pops up like it did now, I click on that one, or standard, or modified, whatever one is the very top one, that's what I click on. So I tell that to the client: congratulations, you got approved for super preferred, preferred, standard. They're all day one coverage. Okay, so this is why I explain that. Congratulations, Ms. Jones, you got approved for the day one coverage. The day one coverage means literally after you make your first payment, let's say God forbid something happened to you 2 weeks down the road. It doesn't matter the amount of time you've had this coverage. You only made one payment. It doesn't matter. We want to pay out your family the full amount of protection that you get set up for them today. That way you don't have to worry about having the program for a certain amount of time. So the day one coverage is the best one we have. So congratulations on that. I'm glad you got approved for that, because that way you're protected no matter when you pass away. Okay. And then modified and guaranteed issue, those are 2 years. Modified is 2 years and guaranteed issue is 3 years. So here's the way I explain this to the clients is I say, congratulations, Ms. Jones, you got approved for the program, and you got approved for the 2 or 3 year plan. And that means you got to keep your policy for 2 or 3 years in order for the program to pay out. But let's say, God forbid, you don't make it the full 2 years or 3 years. Something happened and some crazy accident comes about and you don't make it the full 2 or 3 years. We're still going to pay back every single penny that you put into this program. We're going to pay that back, every single penny, to your family. So 100% of it, all this money you're putting into it, they're going to get back. Plus, we're actually going to throw in an additional 10%. So we're actually going to pay out 110% back of the policy that you put into, and you're still going to get legacy. The company that we partner with to get you everything that you need for your funeral arrangements, like the casket, the vault, the headstone, or the urn, everything that you're picking out for your funeral arrangements, you're still getting all that at the discounted rate. So we're still going to send that out to the funeral home within 24 hours. So your family doesn't have to worry about going down there and picking anything out. It's still going to get shipped out within 24 hours. They don't got to worry about getting swindled into buying something expensive from the funeral home. It will still get sent out. And this way, the money that you have put into this policy still pays out in 24 hours. And we still provide them with that advocate to speak on your behalf. So everything gets negotiated and get that cost down as low as it possibly can go. So with this program, even if you have the 2 or 3 year plan, everything that your policy entails, you'll still get, but you just don't get the full amount of money until after the 2 or 3 years is met. Does that make sense? And they always say yes, and then you move on. So let's move on. I'm going to pick preferred. And then the adult insured requires to answer, it's the same thing, just you hit okay. It's just verifying that it's a setup for themselves. And then this goes over the whole life program. If you want to read this over to your clients, you absolutely can, or legacy as well. It brings up legacy, talks about legacy. If you want to go over that with your clients, great. And then there's also a legacy video. This is the tearjerker, so I will warn you with that. It brings up a lot of emotions, which is great because that it starts to get your clients to think about what legacy is, what we provide, and how it helps out. So this is a great selling point. Absolutely show this video. Okay, so here are the rates that pop up. So when it comes to super preferred and preferred, they always get a much better protection as far as money, just because they're a lot younger and usually, and they don't have as many medications. And so the highest that we go up to, you can go over here to custom, and you can see the highest we go up to is $20,000 per preferred, and super preferred, if they get approved for it, goes all the way up to $30,000. So as you can see here, $20,000 for 137 may be kind of high to the client. So the way I explained the prices is they might be a little bit higher than a lot of other companies, but that's okay because I let them know this program basically helps protect not just your family with getting money, but it also protects them getting everything done and prearranged. So with our program, like the average cost of a burial or any funeral service right now is between $10,000 to $15,000. We help negotiate that down between $5,000 to $7,000. So that's the only amount of protection that you really need. So if you want to have your funeral arrangements taken care of, the coverage that you really need is around $7,000. So any money after $7,000 will be going to your beneficiary, and it's already going to be in their bank account within 24 hours to maybe pay out any bills or anything that's left over. Or if you just want to leave money to grandkids, great. That's what money pays out to them within 24 hours. So let's say you get the $10,000 in coverage, and we can negotiate your total cost of your services down to $7,000. So that means you have an additional $3,000 already sitting in your family's pocket to pay for any bills that come up. So that's the way I explained the prices, because we go all the way up to 20 or 30,000, and that's just extra money to the family. But here with legacy and senior life, we negotiate the total cost of a funeral service between $5,000 to $7,000. So that's all the amount of protection that they really need. So let's go back here. Let's say the client got approved for modified or standard, and you can show them. I just want to show you that the rates are a little bit different. They're a little bit higher, but it's okay because all they really need is the $7,000, and that's all they can afford. And if they tell you, because that's one of the questions that we ask in the very beginning, what kind of services that they want. Do they want to be buried or cremated, or have they thought about it? And if they tell me they just want a basic cremation, and I show them, because I don't know their budget, but I always want to ask them, well, what were you thinking when you wanted some protection? And they're like, well, I live on, most of our clients are on Social Security, they're on disability, they only get paid one time a month. And so if they're telling me, I don't know if I can afford something like this, I always adjust and let them know, okay, if you're just wanting a basic cremation, basic cremation is between 3 and 5. So let's go in the middle here and get you 4, and that's $40 a month. That's pretty doable, right? Right. So let's get something like that set up. So it's just about knowing what your client's wanting and adjusting from there, obviously having that conversation, but you don't need to give them a lot of protection with this. So that's one thing coming in from a life insurance background. You're used to trying jacking up the coverage amount because they need to have a lot of money to pay for their funeral arrangements, right? They need to have a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to pay for their funeral. Over here, it doesn't need to be so much because with the legacy, we can negotiate that cost down. So they don't need to have as much protection. And then if they do have another life insurance on the side, I let them know, hey, one thing I always sit down with the beneficiaries for your program and let them know, this is something that basically protects out of the coverage that you have, because this is the only final expense coverage you bring down to the funeral home, and then the other life insurance you have actually stays with the family where it belongs. It takes a couple of weeks for that policy to pay out anyways. There's no reason to bring it down and jack up the cost for your funeral. That money can actually stay with the family. And that's why you even got life insurance, right? To leave money to family, pay on bills. That's what that other protection you have for. This is the only program you bring down to the funeral home, and I'll let the beneficiary know that. So the reason why I even say I'll let the beneficiary know that is because one thing I show here is I want the whole family to be protected. So after you get past the payment page, it automatically saves it to your tablet. So you always try and get past the payment page, no matter if they're getting a policy or not, because that way it'll save it to your tablet or save it to your telesales website. And that way you don't have to do the whole application again. But here's the beneficiary page. This is what I really want to go over with you, because here at Senior Life and Legacy, we not just help out the clients, we help out the whole entire family. So during the application process, you're going to ask for the beneficiary's first and last name, and then the relationship. So is that their child, their son, their daughter, their grandchild? Who is it? Select who it is. And then look how on the application here, there's no little star asterisk, right, saying this is a required information for Senior Life. It's not required by the application for Senior Life, but it's required by me. So here during this training, I want you to be aware of that. We're not just helping out the client, we're helping out the whole entire family. So I let my client know that I'm not just helping them out, I want to help out their family. So I want them to know what to do. So I say to my client, Mrs. Jones, you're getting this set up for your daughter, Stacy, right? Right. So go ahead and go ahead and do me a favor and give Stacy a call for me and let her know I want to talk to her. I want her to know what this program is all about, because you're getting this set up for her, right? You're no longer here. She just needs to know what to do. So give her a call for me. Let her know, hey, I got my final arrangements taken care of. My state representative, Janice, wants to sit down with you and go over this information, and she's going to call you on Saturday. And that's what I do. I call everybody on Saturday, book an appointment just like a regular lead, and I sit down with them and go over this information. And so that way the beneficiary knows what to do. They have a game plan in place, because I give them my number, I give them the company's number, I give them Legacy's number, and let them know what the whole program is about. So that way they have that peace of mind knowing that mom and dad already got it all done. They just know what to do now. They have a phone number. They have a step-by-step plan, knowing what to do. And then it also helps me out by sitting down with someone else. It's a free lead because I didn't need to pay for that, but I get to sit down with them, and they're a lot younger and they have a lot less medication. So they might get approved for more, which they do. And so I sit down with them, let them know, hey, your parents did all the hard work here. They got everything done and set up for you. Now, God forbid you pass away tomorrow. Who's the one that's going to be taking care of it? Probably your parents, right? Or your spouse. And what then? Do you have any protection set up for them? Oh, you might have a life insurance through your job, which is great, but do you have anything prearranged for your funeral services for yourself? Have you gone down to the funeral home yet? No? Well, now's the time to get it done. That's why I'm here. I just got done helping out your parents, and now they did the hard work, so you can take advantage of this program as well. 4 other people can also get this set up. So that's what I let them know. I'm here to help you get this set up as well. So this is just another way to help as many people as you possibly can. So let's get back to the application here. So the primary, first and last name, phone number, relationship, okay? And then let's do into the secondary. So here's another lead right here, a primary and a secondary beneficiary. Make an estate secondary beneficiary. That, yes, saying estate, meaning the state. Do you want it to go to the state, or do you want it to go to somebody? You always want it to go to somebody in the family, whether it be a friend, family member, it doesn't matter. Put somebody down, and then get the phone number as well. Okay. And then we're going to move on. And here, I also want to let you know how it says add another secondary beneficiary. You can add multiple people. So when it comes to a husband and wife, I always say, okay, I'm going to put your husband here as a primary, and you're going to do the same thing for him on your application. But how many kids do you have? Do you want all of them on your application as far as your secondary beneficiary? Do you want just one? Most of the time they tell me all the kids. So even if they have 4 children, they all want all of them to be put on their applications, just there's no arguing or worrying about who's going to take care of it. So that tells me I have 4 other people additional to go and see for the beneficiaries. Okay, so get their name and number, write down everybody's phone number, let them know, hey, I want to sit down with them. So it's just more people for you to sit down with. Okay, so let's go on. We selected the face amount and then the insured. Oh, so see how that little check mark came up? That just means we did it. That means that section is done. So let's go back to the beneficiaries here and see what we missed. So we missed the relationship. So we just select one of the relationships and hit next. This is, charitable writer. So you can add a charity up to $1,000, I believe, if they want to add any of the money that they have going to a charity. Most of the time it's no. You can hit next and see the little check marks. Yay, that means that section is completed. Okay, so let's move on to the insured. And so it asks for the social. Okay, so the way I ask for that is I'd let them know there's going to be 2 security questions. So the first security question, I go over here to the owner of the policy, and the owner of the policy asks for the mother's maiden name. So I'd let them know, hey, the insurance company is going to call you to verify all this information before they start talking to you. They're going to ask you 2 security questions to make sure they're going to talk to the right person, right? You don't want them to have medical information over the phone talking to the right person, talking to the wrong person. So they're going to verify you. Okay, so they're going to ask you 2 security questions. The first security question they're going to ask you is, what is your mother's maiden name? All right, so you fill that in, hop back over here to the insured, and then the second security question is, what is your social? And so they tell me their social. And if they don't feel comfortable giving you their social, that's fine. At least ask for the last 4 and then just put in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the social. Okay. And then go in and fill in the rest of the application. So their address, the city, the state, the zip code, and then their phone number. Always verify the phone number and if they have an email address. If they do not have an email address and how it's required right here, just put na@gmail.com or no email at gmail.com. It's whatever you want to put down, but this way it's just a fill in the spot basically. Okay, so hit next, and then you get a little bubble there. The owner, oh, but I'll tell you what's wrong. That's wrong, but we're not going to put in the proper information for that. We're just going to hit next, but you will get a bubble there letting you know. I mean, a little check mark with a bubble letting you know it's done. So move on. Health information. So these are the health questions the insurance company is going to call the client and ask them about. But we as the agents, this is what I say. Okay, now we're getting to the health information. I'm going to run down a list of health questions with you to know what the questions are, because these are the questions that the insurance company is going to call you and talk to you about. I'm going to run them down with you so you know what they already are, just yes or no questions. So you read all these questions to your client. Have you been hospitalized recently for anything major, AIDS or ST, HIV or AIDS in the past 6 months, unexpected weight loss or weight gain in the past 6 months, been hospitalized 2 or more times in the past 2 years, been recommended for any test surgeries or hospitalizations in the past 2 years, been treated for anything major, and in the past 2 years used any illegal drugs or alcohol abuse. So all the time, most of the time, all these questions are going to be no. But let's say they say, oh, unfortunately, I did forget to tell you I do have AIDS. So you could hit yes, and it will pop up and say, okay, now you're no longer qualified for the policy that we wrote to you as far as being preferred. It's going to bump you down to guaranteed issue, because we do approve everybody. It doesn't matter if you've had cancer, HIV or AIDS, or incarcerated or in our nursing home, it's going to be guaranteed. So that's what it's going to knock you down to. So if any of these questions pop up and they do tell you yes, you're just going to have to readjust. And so the same thing with this question right here, in the past 6 months had been hospitalized 2 or more times. That's again for major things like had a heart attack or a stroke, or been hospitalized for anything major, not knee surgery or just something not major. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so let's go next. Policy information, same thing. This is just what we need to fill in. Health questions, payer information. Okay, so is the payer the same person? So is it the same person? Are you paying for your own policy? Yes, great. Okay, click yes. But if you say no, that's basically saying, let's say a husband is paying for a wife's policy. Okay, so hit no. Then you're going to have to put in all of his information. But it doesn't matter. Just pick yes or no. All right. And down here, bank service plan. This is for checking or savings account. Okay. So if they have a checking or savings, that information goes there. But if the client has, if they want to use a credit card or a debit card because they don't want to give you their bank account information for account and routing number, go ahead and put in the credit card. Or if the client has a state government card. So that like a Direct Express card. That's where that information goes. So yes, we do accept those. You put it under the credit card information and make sure you are connected to Wi-Fi in order to process those cards. So for me, when I'm in the field, there might not be Wi-Fi available in the home. I just connect it to my phone, use a hotspot on my phone and get Wi-Fi that way so I can submit the card. But you can't move on until that card is verified and you have to be connected to Wi-Fi to verify the card. But I also let the client know that since we are using a card, this is going to be your responsibility to call up the company and update this banking information every couple of years when your card expires. So for me as the agent helping the client, I try and get a bank information account and routing number always, just because I let them know, hey, that's not exactly the safest way to secure your information because it's going to need to be updated every couple of years. Why not use your account and routing number? So, and the routing number is access available online if you didn't know that, just so because you can Google it, type in the bank and it'll pull up the information. But the account number, obviously, they have to find that for you. And if the client doesn't have a checkbook, I say, okay, what about a bank statement? Sometimes a bank statement has the account number on it. If they don't have a bank statement, call the bank. Sometimes they can get that information over the phone for you. So that way you're putting in the account and routing number and not have to worry about updating the banking information every couple of years so they don't lose their program. Okay, so here's the payee information. So most of it has already been popped in for you. So as you can see, all you're going to need to put in is the bank name, the routing number, the account number, the type, checking or savings. The payment monthly is going to be monthly. There's other ways to pay, obviously annually, semi-annually. That's if they want to have that much money coming out of their account, but it's mostly monthly. And then the billing information when they want their bill to be due. So when I get to the banking page, I bring it up. Okay, now Ms. Jones, I'm into the banking information. So since this is a state regulated program, obviously we work with Social Security and Disability. A lot of our clients are on that. So when they get paid on the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, or sometime in the middle of the month, that's when we take this payment. That way they don't got to worry about the money not being in there. It all gets processed at one time. So when does yours usually come in? And they tell me either the 1st or the 3rd, or sometimes they tell me, well, I don't have a set day, and it comes in the 2nd Wednesday of the month. Okay, that's fine. We can help with that as well. So you do week and day, you say the 2nd, and then you select Wednesday. So this way you're actually selecting the 2nd Wednesday of the month, not just picking a random day and then overdrawing their account. But if they tell you like the 1st or the 3rd, then yeah, pick the day of the month and select the 3rd. Okay. And the initial withdrawal date is the really, really important day. So especially if they have the day one coverage. So the way I want them to have that protection right there on the spot, and whatever day that pops up, I say, okay, congratulations, Miss Jones. We're getting everything set up for you. The first payment is obviously the most important because that's what activates your policy. The earliest we can get this started for you would be tomorrow, the 1st. Is that a good day to start your payment for you? Yeah, great. Okay, we'll get this started for you. We'll get submitted and we can start with the signatures. If they tell you, well, actually, no, I don't get paid for another few days or a week. Okay, that's not a problem. We can always post date the payment. We don't need to take any money today, so don't worry about that. We're not going to overdraft your account. But what we can do for you is post date this payment. So as you can see here, they highlight how far post dating you can go. So you can go up to 2 weeks. So today's the 31st, you can post date that up to the 14th. So that's the farthest we could post date the first payment. So if the client tells you, well, I don't get paid for another 3 weeks, then you're going to have to schedule a follow-up appointment and then get that payment scheduled for that follow-up day. But yeah, the 2 weeks is the farthest we can go. Okay, so after you put all the banking information, you hit next, and then you're going to do either a recording if you're doing telesales, or if you're in the field, you're going to get signatures from your iPad. So it's much easier to do that. That's why I do the field sales. But if you're doing telesales and you have to do a voice recording, it's going to tell you, do you want to record? And it's going to record right here off of your computer. You just put your phone on speaker, and that way they can hear the recording of you and the client on the phone at the same time. You're just going to read the script verbatim. It's about a 5-minute long script that you have to read verbatim exactly what it says. It's just going to say, hi, my name is Janice. Today's date is this. The time is this. We are setting this client up, gives the name and the address and the birth date. Do you verify us to record this call? And it just runs down a whole list. It takes about 5 minutes. So I always remind my client, okay, now we're getting to the recording to do your signature over the phone. This is going to take about 5 minutes to get done. We are almost done here, but we do got to record this call. And then I'm going to ask you all the same health questions I asked you before. Just remember to say no on all those questions, because that's what we verified during the application process. The company just wants to verify all that again. So during the recording call, when I ask you those health questions, say no, and then we can move on and get your application submitted. Okay. So that then we just go over all that. But that's it, guys. This is just the whole application here. It's pretty simple and self-explanatory, step by step. If you have any questions about anything, just contact myself or your manager or anybody that is your direct upline, and they can answer any questions for you. But that's it. It's pretty done. It's pretty easy. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, my number is 814-283-5337. All right, guys, have a good one. Hope you enjoyed the training. Bye.